Good morning. Thank you for attending the Public and Protective Services Committee for November 26, 2024. On this committee is Councillor Blackmore, Councillor Berg, who is not here today, Mayor Clayton, and myself, Councillor Bosch. We will call to order and the adoption of the agenda by...
I would move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you. That is in order, and we'll call the question. Thank you. No delegations today, and we'll go right into Chief Lemieux's service area update. Chief.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Starting with the Grande Prairie Police Service on November 25th, so yesterday, 3 experienced officers graduated from the Grande Prairie Police Services 5-week training program, so offer our congratulations to those 3 new GPPS officers. From Enforcement Services, Peace Officers Winterhoff and Michaud made a positive community connection by coordinating a donation to a local food bank for this reporting period. So this demonstration of compassion for residents of Grande Prairie helps to show the department's commitment to the well-being of the community beyond duties of an enforcement officer. So we thank those 2 officers for that effort. Enforcement Services had 3 officers recently graduate from the Community Peace Officer Program. Graduating from the program allows officers to take on additional roles or responsibilities under the Peace Officer Act, increasing their ability to address diverse community needs. The program emphasizes skills like de-escalation techniques, legal compliance, and public safety protocols. This ensures officers can handle a wider range of situations effectively, contributing to safer neighborhood. And with the arrival of winter weather, the department is starting to enforce snow routes throughout the city, and removal of abandoned vehicles and those parked in contravention of snow bans significantly improves the efficiency of snow removal operations. So Enforcement Services works very well with our Operations Transportation Department on that front. From the RCMP on Monday, October the 7th at approximately 3 a.m., Grande Prairie RCMP were conducting proactive patrols throughout the downtown core when a pair of individuals were observed trespassing on a commercial property. A subsequent investigation led officers to the arrest of 2 individuals and the seizure of a number of items such as drug trafficking, paraphernalia, break-in tools, and some suspected fentanyl. A resident of Grande Prairie was arrested on 3 outstanding warrants, and the other individuals, also a resident of Grande Prairie, has been charged with several offenses. On November 15th, Grande Prairie RCMP Crime Reduction Unit conducted a traffic stop with a suspect vehicle. Upon conducting the stop, a large quantity of stolen mail, parcels, break-in tools, and stolen Canada Post keys were located. The individual was arrested and charged, and the Crime Reduction Unit was in contact with the Canada Post Postal Inspector and is working towards furthering a larger investigation into mailbox theft. From the Eastlink Centre, the highly anticipated Holy Day deals at the Eastlink Centre have returned in time for the festive season, on sale now until December 24th. The wildly popular Holy Day Mystery Gift Card Sale is back, so that December 6th at 7 a.m. you can purchase a $50 gift card with a value of not less than $55 and could be up to $500. These sell out quickly and are only available while supplies last, and there's a limit of 4 per person. The Eastlink Centre's annual membership sale day is on Saturday, December the 5th. So membership sale day is the only time to purchase an Eastlink Centre annual prepaid membership on sale at a 10% discount. From Sport Development, Wellness and Culture, winter schools out camps and winter programs beginning in January are open for registration. And after a successful adaptive athletics program and with generous support from a sponsor, a new inclusive program is being offered in January, featuring ball hockey and volleyball. Registration is now available for that program. And from Events and Entertainment, Bonnet's Energy Centre, in partnership with Live Nation, hosted hometown talent Danielle Towns to her largest crowd on tour last week on November the 19th. And the events coming up, the Mayor's Interfaith Breakfast on November 28th at the Montrose Cultural Centre, the City and Downtown Association Christmas tree lighting and the Battle of the Badge hockey game on December the 1st. The Grand North Winter Festival goes from January 10th to the 12th. And Troyanda Society's 50th annual Malenka event is on January 18th, with the 90s dance mix tour on January 25th at Bonnet's Energy Center. And from Community Social Development, the city, with regards to our Women of Influence keynote speaker, the city is seeking an exceptional woman to deliver the keynote address at the 2025 Women of Influence event. We are looking for someone who embodies the spirit of this prestigious event and can inspire our audience through personal experiences and insight. So the link to submit a proposal can be found on the city's website. And thank you, Madam Chair. That's my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Lemieux. Any questions from our committee? Ooh, I don't see any. I have a couple questions since we're here. The Peace Officer Program, the training program, that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's being held in Lac La Biche now. Will we be doing that here with our GPPS training?
You're correct. Right now, it's offered in Lac La Biche, and there are some. We're looking into the possibility in the future to host that training locally.
Okay, perfect. And can you tell us, just for the public, where we're sitting right now with GPPS officers and what our next 6 months outlook looks like for numbers?
Yes, so I'll confirm the numbers, but off the top of my head, I believe we have 8 experienced officers that have been assigned duties. And we have a recruit class. Our first new recruit class is made up of 12 members, and they will complete their training in February. And February 24th, I believe, is the day that they'll start working as part of the local detachment, as part of their field training program.
And then the administration piece that you have already, right?
Yes, we have a number of administrators also, and I'll follow up with an email with some detailed breakdown for council.
Perfect, thank you. And just a note, you talked about parking bans and vehicles not being moved in the winter. Enforcement Services also looks at people who don't shovel their sidewalks, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, just putting that out there, early time of the year. So no questions still. We'll move on to grant recommendations. Chief Lemieux?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the report is in front of you, and I'm going to ask Jackson and Katie to join us at the table and to present the report.
Welcome, Jackson and Katie. Jackson, is this your first time?
I've been up here before, but first time presenting.
Awesome. Good. Happy to have you. Okay, go ahead.
So on October 24th, 2024, the Community Advisory Committee met to review grant applications received for Pursuit of Excellence scholarships, as well as Community Improvement Grant. From this meeting, the following recommendations are being made. So for Pursuit of Excellence scholarships, 10 scholarship applications were received across 9 different sports, including swimming, athletics, and power wheelchair soccer, among others. From these applications, 8 applicants are being recommended for funding based on meeting the necessary grant criteria, while 2 applicants are not being recommended at this time. The recommendation breakdown is 2 applicants recommended for Come Fly With Me funding, 2 applicants recommended for Perky McCullough Scholarship, as well as 4 applicants for the Bob Neufeld Scholarship Fund. For the Community Improvement Grant, in total, we received 6 applications for matching grants. 4 of these applications are being recommended for funding based on meeting necessary grant criteria. 2 of the matching grants are not being recommended at this time. Additionally, we received 3 grant applications for non-matching funds. All 3 of these applications met the necessary criteria. In summary, administration is recommending the following funding allocations as presented in Appendix A of the report. Come Fly With Me funding for a total of $3,590. Perky McCullough Scholarship funding for a total of $5,000. Bob Neufeld Scholarship funding for a total of $4,800, and Community Improvement Grant funding for a total of $25,000. And I'm open to taking some questions at this time.
Thank you, Jackson. That was really well done. Any questions? Councillor Blackmore has questions or comments.
Every time it seems that we get grant funding brought forward, there's things on there that I've never heard of in my life before. Can you tell me what a GAGA ball pit is and what a mud kitchen initiative is.
Thank you, through the chair. Gaga ball, the best way to describe a Gaga ball pit, I guess, would be a mixture between dodgeball and, I mean, dodgeball is probably the simplest way to describe it. Essentially, it's a octagon playing surface where kids or members of the community would use essentially a soft dodgeball. It's a sport that has become wildly popular, especially in schools, but in a previous role as a camp counselor, it was something that we utilized as well. But it is something that's definitely more recent and becoming increasingly popular.
And you can't just use a field?
So, thank you, through the chair. There's different versions of what that playing surface looks like. So there are some schools in the community that do have a grass playing surface that they've surrounded with, wood boards. The idea with this project specifically is to make it accessible. So that's one of the criteria, one of the reasons that they've brought this project forward. By putting in a rubberized surface, it allows for greater accessibility for more students to be able to participate, specifically getting people in and out of the space. It has a gate, essentially. Instead of having to climb over a boarded area, they can open the gate and allow people in and out. And then the Mud Kitchen initiative is for the purchase of equipment. So it's equipment that allows for the creation of mud material. So it's supposed to be a sensory addition to the playground that's already at the Center for Young Parents. So it is open to the community, but it's additional equipment that's going to help to increase the variety of activities that are already there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Mayor Clayton?
Thanks, Chair Bosch. I just had a couple questions on the Mud Kitchen initiative as well. I see on the map that it's adjacent to pickleball. I'm trying to figure out where this is, sorry. There's a picture in the slide there that shows.
Yeah, thank you.
What's that specifically?
Through the chair. So it is a bit of a blurry image, but that's where the current playground is located behind. Sorry, Kate.
It's kind of by Dave Bar
Building. Yeah.
in Patterson there.
Okay, so it's close further access to their facilities?
Yeah, it's adjacent to their facility, and then there's access to the fenced-in area for the public. So it's right across from those apartment buildings, like the other side of the parking lot of Dave Bar. Yeah.
I get where it is. I just, I wondered about the choice of location because I thought at some point we talked about expansion. Like, is this movable? It's not cemented in. Like,
Thank you, through the chair. No, so the equipment that's being purchased is movable.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
smaller plastic type equipment, but it would be removable if necessary.
and can you just tell me a bit? I'm not familiar with the Center for Young Parents, so typically it's neighborhood association, other groups that are applying for this. So it's kind of a new one. Can you just tell me the background a little bit on funding of this?
Take this one, sure. Thank you, Chair Bosch. So the grant is open to all not-for-profit organizations. So as long as it's accessible to the community, anybody's eligible to apply. Typically, we do see neighborhood associations, and the neighborhood association in that particular area is just getting back up and running. So we should see some future projects directly from the association as well.
Thank you.
Okay. I do. Thank you.
I would move that committee recommend council approve funding allocations as presented in Appendix A.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Blackmore. That's in order. No questions. We'll call the question. And that is carried. Next, we're going to move on to 4.3, working opportunities. Chief Lemieux.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to ask Sean Hebert and Helen Napier to join us at the front table. Sean has done the research on this particular topic. So on August 26, 2024, Council made a motion to direct administration to bring back a report with parking opportunities, including potential revenue and expenses. So there's a lot of history around downtown and parking in the city of Grande Prairie. So Sean has done a really good job in terms of doing the research. So we're not making any particular recommendations with this report, but we're bringing back a bunch of background information. I'll ask Sean to take us through his report.
Excellent.
Thank you, Sean. Welcome. You have
very
hit the
much.
hot topic button, haven't you?
I know. Thank you. Good morning. So I'll just go through a quick overview of the report here. So for some background, like Chief Lemieux there was saying, that so Grande Prairie had introduced paid parking in the downtown area around the 1960s as part of efforts to manage and maintain an active and organized urban core. Over the years, various efforts aimed at revitalizing and modernizing the downtown have taken place. The Downtown Rehabilitation and Streetscapes Project was one such initiative that took place between 2015 and 2022. It was aimed at beautifying the city's downtown core and making it more pedestrian-friendly and welcoming to people to visit the downtown. During this work, all metered on-street parking was removed. The next table that's in the report there is that historical look back at the parking revenue that was generated downtown specific. So you have the parking meter revenue table, stall rentals, which refers to a time when the city rented parking stalls. A parking lot in particular that comes to my mind is across from Rock 97.7. That parking lot there used to be paid parking stalls in that location. Parking fines, so I drilled into that to locate parking fines that were issued as much as I could to the downtown area, because when we think parking fines, it's citywide. So it's like trucks, large trucks parked off truck route, handicap parking in other areas of the city that's also enforced. So I narrowed the scope as much as possible to downtown parking fines. So that's where those totals come from there. Expenses associated to the antiquated parking meters utilized pre-2021 were difficult to analyze, as those expenses were merged with other parking expenses across the city. So I wasn't able to really drill into that too much. However, despite the lack of that data, modern parking technology has moved away from the cumbersome expenses of what would be considered classic parking meters, which could cost anywhere between $250 to $500 per meter head. At its peak, Grande Prairie had 400 double head meters and 71 single head parking meters. We estimated that hardware cost around $217,750, just to give an idea of what was there before. Digital parking solutions accessed via an app or web-based platform now dominate the modern parking landscape. In preparation for this report, a review of 5 municipalities' parking programs was conducted. I reached out to Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Red Deer, and St. Albert. To gather more information, further meetings were had with the parking authorities of Calgary, Lethbridge, and Red Deer, as those three communities in particular deployed a robust modern parking strategy for their busy city centers. Out of those conversations with those municipalities, some of the key takeaways that really kind of caught my interest, and I hope yours as well, is that technology has greatly increased the efficiency in every aspect of parking control, from payment processing, revenue collection, enforcement, administration, and fine appeals. Automated and digital processes have removed the need for this work to be done manually by officers and administration, which has resulted in cost and time savings for the municipality. Software systems also enable the implementation of variable parking rates based on specific days and times of the week, such as offering free parking on weekends or applying higher rates during peak demand, periods of peak demand. To provide an estimate of potential expenses if Grande Prairie were to implement a modern parking program, a digital parking solutions vendor was contacted for product demonstration and pricing. Based on the information received, the purchase of a modern parking system utilizing primarily a digital platform along with 10 multi-space pay stations, is estimated between 166 and 206,000. The number I provided there will be different from the number that was provided in the initial report that was uploaded, because I received information from the vendor of those pay stations on installation costs, which wasn't available when the report was first uploaded. So the cost there, the 166,000 to 206,000, also includes installation cost for the multi-space pay stations. And I should clarify, a multi-space pay station, if you're not familiar with that technology, it's a kiosk that that is used for multiple parking spots. So think of the pay station that we have currently in the library underground parking. So many parking spots, one pay station for all of those. So there's a zone that the customer can go and pay there. Oh, and I do have a photo of one here as well. Thanks, Helen. Oh.
Thank you.
Can we get that photo image up, please?
There you go. Oh, kind of sideways.
It's fine.
But,
That's fine.
yeah, so that's a multi-space pay station right there. You may have seen them in other municipalities, very popular. And those are implemented for those physical transactions. So paying cash, coin, debit, credit, multiple options that are available there. Whereas the alternative for software solutions is those QR code signs, pay to tap, or the vendor in specific that I was speaking with, they have an app, a very popular app. Their payments are processed through that. And here's a photo, thank you, Helen, of what one of those QR code.
Can we get that photo up, please?
There you go.
Thank you.
Back to the report here. So the implementation costs of the $166,000 to $206,000, the range there is because of the variety of options that are available for software-based solutions, depending on the type of permitting. If a municipality would be interested in, it increases the cost with the optional kind of add-on to the package. After the first year of implementation, the expenses are expected to decrease, with yearly operating costs estimated between $20,000 to $70,000, depending on the specific options selected from a vendor. Unfortunately, I didn't have any information on maintenance and upkeep costs, but they are expected to be considerably less than maintaining physical parking meters. An example I could provide would be if a parking meter is vandalized, very expensive to replace the components to that, whereas if a QR code sign is damaged and replaced, it's $100 or $150 to replace. So that would be the costs there. Potential revenue generated from a modern parking system was calculated based on the three-year average of our historical parking meters between 2015 and 2017, as those were the most recent years that we had parking meters active in the downtown core before they started to be removed during the streetscapes project. That total came out to $208,778 in a 3-year period. That was the average. Part of the software system, is the integration of enforcement components. So technology that we don't currently have, such as license plate recognition, a system that they call auto chalking, which is rather than doing the physical chalking of tires, which the officers do right now, the camera does it, the computer does it. You drive by, you can be either vehicle mounted or in a handheld that the officer would carry with them. They scan the license plate, the computer chalks the vehicle, they move on. They come back again, scan the vehicle again, and then the computer compares where the line is, if the vehicle is moved or not within a time period. So very, quite fancy stuff compared to what we're using right now. So yeah, it's pretty slick. So aside from the license plate technology there, historically an average of 2,214 parking tickets were issued annually between 2015 and 2017 in the downtown area. And this generated approximately $20,535 of fine revenue for the city. In total, taking into consideration the amount generated in fine revenue and parking meters, using the historical amounts for the meter rates and things that were charged at that time, we anticipate the city could realize potential revenue of $138,000 to $188,000 in additional revenue. Going into social impacts, should parking costs deter visitors to the downtown core, local businesses and social activities could be negatively impacted. Alternatively, however, paid parking may discourage long-time parkers that are using and abusing the 2-hour parking that's on the street right now from occupying those spaces and moving those long-term parkers into public parking. Which is currently underutilized throughout the city. We have many lots in the downtown that aren't near capacity and could take more vehicles in there for sure. There was no stakeholder engagement conducted in preparation for this report. However, should changes be considered to the current landscape of parking downtown, administration would recommend that a survey be completed for community consideration and consultation. And at that concludes my report, and I'm open to any questions that there may be.
Thank you, Sean. Is there any questions? Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Chair Bosch. I think my question probably is for Ms. Napier. But one of the concerns that has been raised by businesses in the downtown core is that the 2-hour parking limit seems to be difficult to enforce, and they would like to know how to improve that enforcement. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that's enforced and what the handicaps are to ensuring that the 2-hour time limit is adhered to?
Ms. Napier?
Thank you for the question through the chair. So we are receiving reports back from officers that the on-street parking is being utilized by what we would consider employees working in the downtown core. They are noticing we are manually chalking tires, and they have come to be educated on that, and they go out before the 2 hours is up and they're moving a foot or whatever it requires. So when we go back to see if they're gone over the 2-hour limit, we can't prove that anymore because they've moved a foot forward or backwards. So it's getting difficult to enforce. So yes, we do have those reports. How to get around that? I think we're bringing forward, an option. Paid parking, having people pay for parking could deter that type of behavior, could deter it.
Would using an automatic chalking system be effective, do you think?
Thank you for the question through the chair. Again, if they are going out and moving their vehicle ahead a foot, back a foot, it's going to be the same type of thing because it takes a picture. If your tire is moved, we can't kind of prove that. But we do have the license plate to read that. So it potentially could help, but we've just got some smart individuals that are just playing with the system there a little bit.
Thank you. Mayor Clayton.
Board appreciate, as council asked, for opportunities, revenue, as well as expenses, and that you did that jurisdictional scan. Mine's similar to Councillor Blackmore's comments in regards to the existing enforcement. It's not coming to mind for me. I don't know if I've seen it. Do we have allocated amount and expense for enforcement, specifically for parking enforcement downtown. I appreciate the comments in regards to people abusing the system, let's call it. But if there was a revenue, which potentially is a parking revenue, it could offset those costs right now of the enforcement. Do we know how many hours, how much money is put into monitoring parking in the downtown core currently?
Ms. Napier?
Thank you for the question through the chair. So I'll give you an estimate. I don't have exact hours, and I mean, we could go away and derive that. But we do have one bylaw enforcement officer that spends the majority of his workday enforcing parking. He does other bylaw things, but the majority of his work. So combine that with the enforcement the other officers do on parking, I think a good estimate is a full-time resource, one full-time resource. Parking.
And sorry if I could, Chair. Do you have the parking ticket revenue number offhand?
Thank you for the question through the chair. So we have historical parking revenue. We did not bring current parking revenue, but that is available and can be provided.
Yeah, because I see the number in the report of $1,000 for 2023, and the stall revenue. Some parking meter revenue, but I'm just, if we happen to have that fine revenue from the enforcement who's actually going out marking tickets, if we happen to know that, I'm curious.
Through the chair, just to clarify, for 2024, you're talking about?
Even 2023 would help.
Yeah, I think it's down, but I can definitely get those numbers for you. I didn't have them today.
Do you have a ballpark? Like, we talk about potential fine revenue when we were metered, and we talk about potential fine revenue if we were in an updated metered system. And, you know, there's still an expense. So I'm just curious in the business case of what we think it's currently costing us and what the offset might be.
Through the chair. So the numbers that I have right now in my head, that's throughout the city. So we'd have to go back and break that down to a downtown number for you.
Okay.
If we can possibly do that. That's quite a bit of manual intervention.
For sure. No, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Okay. For me, I see that you're looking at the revenue piece here, but stating with what both councillors had said about enforcement coming in, we really have no idea what the costs were to implement this program. You know, when you were bringing in $232,000, what were the costs to have that program? So manpower is higher than nearly anything right now. I can tell you that the Downtown Association and its members feel very, very strongly about this potential parking. And so they do have a letter and a survey that was already done for you. So if that ever needs to come out and be discussed, council is very aware of it. They've had calls and comments and such. So I don't know if everybody is excited about this as the cool tech piece of it. My question to you is, you're talking about people who move afoot. Where is the implementation of moving a parking stall? Like, who cares about a foot? Like, if they're in that parking stall, moving a foot should still keep that 2-hour limit. I think that it should be moving into a different parking lot, or parking stall, excuse me, that distinguishes whether they've moved or not. Moving within the stall, I think, is irrelevant. So how do we fix that? Playing the game of moving a foot back and forth. If it's a stall that's the concern, we shouldn't be worried about the foot. We should be worried about that license plate in that stall.
Thank you for the question. So I guess the purpose of 2-hour parking is to keep people moving, so it opens up space for others to come along, use that space. That's one point to make. If someone moves and the chalking's not there, how do you prove that they didn't leave for an hour and come back again? So as soon as that they've moved their vehicle, then the proof is gone that They didn't exit and come back again.
Councillor Blackmore?
On the other hand, you can ask them to prove that they drove away for an hour and came back.
Thank you for the question through the chair. It's not normally, we wouldn't write a ticket if we don't have the proof that somebody has not abided by the law, right? So we try to get that proof that they haven't moved.
Okay.
You know, sometimes tickets need to be issued regardless, and people can go to the expense of fighting them or not. Sometimes just getting that prompt that what they're doing is inappropriate is enough. But I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a judge. I should be, because life would be different, but I'm not. So. Mayor Clayton. And I'll make
Mayor Clayton?
I just had a question in regards to the comment of the expense previously in regards to enforcement when we were metering parking. To your knowledge, Ms. Napier, did we have more enforcement officers when we were metered? Less enforcement officers? Would we say it's about the same? The metered piece is a revenue and an enforcement piece. The labor associated, I'm curious if that's changed over time.
Thank you for the question through the chair. So yes, we have increased the number of enforcement officers over the years. I don't know the specific dates. There was 4 added some time ago, not specifically for parking.
No, and that's what I mean. Specifically downtown, have we? Is it? I think, to my knowledge, it stayed relatively the same over the chart, the historical information.
Relatively the same, yes.
Okay. And so the other comment I had was in regards to, I appreciate the information. I received, I think, 1 comment at a chamber event and 1 phone call in regards to parking. I haven't heard a lot on it. I've had the letter from the Downtown Association. I find it a little interesting because council's intent here was to get more information. Council hasn't said, yes, we're interested in parking. No, we're interested in this model. What is, and so therefore I appreciate the report brought back to administration. There seems to be a lot of hype over something that hasn't even come to a decision or consideration point. At this point, council was gathering information. So I appreciate the information. I think that there are opportunities here. I believe that parking is abused. I believe that when you have parameters around parking, you will actually move more people through the downtown core than you are currently. So I appreciate the information. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Blackmore?
From my point of view, there will eventually be paid parking downtown. Currently, there's not a lot of, it's not difficult to find a parking stall at this current moment in time. And so I don't think this is the right time to move this forward. Nevertheless, there is a time when it will be the right time. And so thank you very much for supplying the information today. I don't see any reason to go further at this moment in time, so I would move that committee receive this report for information.
Thank you. Councillor Blackmore? Oh, Mayor Clayton?
Yeah, I agree. I do disagree in your one comment that it's easy to get parking downtown. I hear on a regular basis of people not being able to find stalls. I do think we should enforce stricter. I think that there are people abusing it. I think that in certain stores where people want to run in and run out, there isn't always access to parking. That being said, it just may not be in front of the store. There's lots of parking downtown. People may just need to walk a block or 2, which unfortunately doesn't seem to be something that people are always in favor of. And so I encourage people to continue to support the downtown core, but keep in mind that there is a significant volume of parking spots downtown. It may just not always be right in front of the store. And I also think that people that are abusing, that enforcement should be a little stricter. I've been downtown on a Sunday when none of the stores are open and not found a parking stall in front of the stores. So there are people abusing it. And so I look forward to hearing monitoring over the next little while, because I think there are people that will always abuse it. But I just encourage people to continue to explore the other parking lots that we have around the downtown if a stall isn't available in front of the business. But I also really think that this is something we are probably the only mid-sized city that's not charging for parking in their downtown right now. And so we need to consider that in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. My mic's still on. I think that a recent parking study tells a story. Right now, we're at about 80% capacity with parking within the core. That was done roughly about 8 months ago or so and presented. So until you get somewhere near 98%, should you start looking at alternatives for charging and making things a little more difficult in regards to abuse. Right now at 80%, I don't see that we're really having any difficulties with parking. Some businesses for sure, and there is some that abuse it. I would like personally to see enforcement ramped up. I think there's revenue there when you're talking, 50 cents or $1 to park versus a $75 ticket. I think that's if the city's looking for revenue, that's where it would be, which would be enforcement. Having more enforcement officers walking around in the core, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And then, of course, the parking issue. So for me, I would like to see an increase in enforcement and see where we go from there. And, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're in a school or a downtown core, there's people who are going to take advantage and try to get away with things that, they can get away with. So we just have to be a little bit stronger, in my opinion. So I thank you for this report, and we'll call the question. Okay, that is carried. And thank you for coming and doing all that work on that. No correspondence or other business. We'll go right into the outstanding items list. Chief Lemieux.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to recommend 3 changes to the outstanding items list. Item 1329 was dealt with today, so that could come off the list. Item 1327, I'd like to change the expected report date to Q2 2025. We need 90 solid days to evaluate that pilot project on the the tennis at the Bose. So I'd like to change that to Q2 2025. And we can remove item 1325, mobile outreach update, which was dealt with at the last committee meeting.
Thank you, Chief Lemieux. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks. Chief Lemieux, Q2 2025, so 90 days. They got in there in November, so we're giving them 5 months and then evaluating it?
I think that you're right. They started early, but they're fully operational now. So they started really slower than we expected. That's why Catherine's asking for a little more time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lemieux. Need someone to move that. Councillor Blackmore.
I move we accept the outstanding items list as amended.
Thank you. That is in order. We'll call the question. Okay, that is carried. Are we going to go into camera and then right out? Okay, so we'll adjourn the meeting portion and go right into camera.